On the news, chairman of the Presidential Committee, Taiwo Oyedele, says workers should earn hourly pay. President Tinubu signs executive order removing tariffs on pharmaceutical imports. And 103 Nigerians deported from Turkey arrive Abuja airport. That's why have you joined us on News Now on TV 360 Nigeria. I'm Tamilore Akinkolie. Chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform, Taiwo Oyedele, has advocated for an overhaul of the country's minimum wage structure. In an interview, Oyedele proposed that the minimum wage be calculated on an hourly basis rather than the current monthly structure. He also suggested allowing civil servants to engage in other type of work except farming, provided these activities do not conflict with their government duties. Oyedele stressed the need to rethink the rules surrounding civil service employment to enable workers to take on multiple jobs without conflict. Furthermore, Oyedele emphasized the importance of linking wages to workers' productivity. He argued that without measurable productivity standards, even a substantial minimum wage will quickly lose its value. In the ongoing debate over the new minimum wage, state governors has also argued that each state should be allowed to negotiate the amounts they wish to pay their workers. However, the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) has countered, asserting the governors do not have the right to dictate wage amounts. In our flashy program, DG 360, analysts weighed in on the issue. Some analysts cited the governors, saying that their position reflects the current economic realities and capacities of their respective states. Others argued that allowing governors to set the minimum wage could lead to the misuse of the discretion, with wages potentially dropping below the current minimum of 30,000 naira, which is already insufficient given the rising cost of living.
The intention of minimum wage has been to protect the interests of workers nationwide. Don't forget, the essence of having national minimum wage is to the extent that no employer would, by himself or by himself, decide wage outside what the law covers for the nation. And it goes a long way to tell you that when we talk about parity in pay, we are talking about equity in salary distribution. There are workers in the private sector that covers across more than 10 states in trying to derive operation in their sectors. So you have a construction company that have its headquarters in Abuja or Lagos, but they have operation in various states. So whereby states are allowed to make their own law for salary, it will also create disparity within the rank of a company. And that may negate the law that promotes equal work for equal pay, where a company has its workers in various states, and then the law of a state will compel you to pay a particular salary, and the law in another state compels such employer to pay a different salary. That on its own has its own disadvantage. So the consequence is more because some state government will choose even than the 30,000 we're earning. So the disadvantage is actually going to be seen as evil. And that is why we will not do otherwise than to promote a trial wage point for the nation.
Well, the governors are being realistic because I listened to the governors, and if you look at the revenue that accrue to the states, realistically speaking, you know that it is easier for the camel, for the camel to pass through the eye of the needle than for some states to pay. Don't forget, this is 2024. The 2019 national minimum wage is still being, breached than, being complied with. So the truth of the matter is that if the national minimum wage is arrived at based on the prevailing template that the tripartite committee recommended, you can be rest assured that we'll be back to the pre-2019 scenario where governors refuse to sign, and where till date they are not complying.
Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu signed an executive order aimed at boosting local production of essential healthcare products. This order introduces zero tariffs, excise duties and VAT on specialized machinery, equipment and pharmaceutical raw materials. The announcement was made by the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Mohammed Ali Pate, on his X page. He also mentioned that the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, will take the next step to implement this order. Approved by the President in October 2023, this executive order provides economic incentives to stimulate domestic manufacturing, reduce production costs, and improve the competitiveness of local manufacturers. And to security matters, troops from the 1 Division of Nigerian Army in Kaduna State have arrested 47 suspected rail track vandals in Chinko local government area. The arrests were made during a routine patrol on June 26, 2024. Now, according to Lieutenant Musa Yahya, Acting Deputy Director of Army Public Relations for the division, the suspect has loaded 2 trucks with vandalized rail tracks. They claim they were hired by an individual known as Alhaji Babawo, who remains at large. The 47 suspects were interviewed and cross-examined to determine their level of involvement, and some vandalized rail tracks were found concealed in nearby bush awaiting evacuation by the criminal syndicate. And 103 Nigerians arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja on Friday after being deported from the Republic of Turkey. Upon their arrival at the pilgrims wing at the airport, they were received by several government agencies, including the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA), the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC), operatives of the Department of State Service (DSS), and the military. The circumstances surrounding their deportation remains unclear, as it is not yet known if they committed any offences in Turkey. The deportees, however, expressed anger and frustration, alleging unfair treatment by Turkish authorities, who they claim detained them for over 11 months before deporting them. They have called on the Nigerian government to intervene on their behalf and help reclaim their valuables. And the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission (FTCC) has conducted a raid on 3 steel manufacturing firms in Ogun State, investigating allegations of substandard iron rod production and anti-competitive practices. The companies involved are African Foundries Limited in Ojigbo, Monarch Steel Mill Limited in Shagamu, and Camsil Integrated Company also in Shagamu. Now, Acting Executive Vice Chairman of the FTCC, Adamu Abdullahi, addressing journalists, said the commission visits was prompted by intelligence reports suggesting anti-competitive behavior at these companies. A set of manufacturers allegedly produce 100mm iron rods but falsely label and market them at 12mm rods, a deceptive practice contributing to building collapses in Nigeria.
We've got intelligence and surveillance reports that the companies in question are involved in some anti-competitive behavior, and that is the reason why we decided to come to 3 out of the many companies that are here in Lagos so that we can take a sample and see what it is that they do by going through the records that we get from them, as well as look at the end products that come out of their systems here. You see, what is happening is there is false, misleading, and deceptive, as well as unfair market practices. You would go into the market to buy an iron rod of 12 mm, for instance. When they produce, what you get is 10, not 12. And this is what is the main reason that leads to all these building collapses that we have in the country.
And community leaders and residents in Mafuluku in Oshodi local government area have decried the poor state of roads in their neighborhood, especially Mafuluku Road leading to Oshodi Market. With potholes and craters, especially at Oseni Ewu, Orobiyi and Adeyinka Island Street, commuting on the road have become a nightmare for residents. Residents complain of flooding whenever it rains in the community, and businesses in the community have also been badly impacted as a result of the bad state of the road.
I was in the house. My friend called me that I should come and give him buckets to able to pack water in the shop, understand? So I was surprised that I was not surprised, sha, because that's how it happens every time when rain fall, understand? So we don't have a rest of peace for this side because of rain, and that have shop here, we have a lot of damages whenever there is rain like this.
We just try as much as possible to ensure the free flow of the drainages, but yet the water flow and the drainage system we have here cannot withstand the flow of water we get here, even though we are very near to this canal here. But the flow of water, because like if you just do a survey, you notice that this water maps, as in the footprint of this water is everywhere here. The houses, the shop, the fence, cars, like you can just see for yourself. This is the street.
What we want is this: let them deliver. The reason why we put them there, let them deliver the job. If we have anything in this area like gutter, what they are there for, the reason why they are there, I think is for if we need anything, they can be able to fix it on for us. So they can't just be there without doing nothing. When they need us, they will come. We vote for them. After voting for them, finish. They go away. So that's what we need them for. Let them deliver. We need better road, NEPA, water, gutter. If they do that, can be able to do that one for us. We won't have any problem with them.
The Center for Citizens with Disabilities (CCD) has called for the active involvement of individuals with special needs in political activities. This advocacy was highlighted during a one-day stakeholders dialogue in Lagos State aimed at enhancing the participation of persons with disabilities in political and electoral processes. The event was funded by Voice, an organization dedicated to promoting inclusion, innovation, and influence of marginalized groups in key decision-making processes. The program's objective is to educate aspiring politicians with disabilities about the procedures involved in the political system and how to navigate them effectively.
In this part of the world, Nigeria, and most especially in Lagos, the political terrain has not been making it possible for us at all to take part. Despite our struggle to be part of them, they still don't understand that we are able. Like our own slogan, that there is ability in disability. They never understand this. But we that knows what we are doing, and we know where we are going to have to stand up to this challenge. From some of us, we have low self-esteem towards politics. It is high time we stopped. We have to join the race. We just have to join the race.
Our understanding of the Disability Act, that's one of the objectives. And on this project, we've engaged them. We've engaged IPAC on several occasions. We've engaged justice providers, because you know, of course, it's part of the project title, enhancing access to justice. We've engaged the Ministry of Justice. We've engaged NSCDC, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. We've engaged all the relevant stakeholders that we need to engage with. And one of the outcomes, just as she mentioned, you see, when it comes to political participation, persons with disabilities need to understand that it is their right. And that's what the project is all about. Ensuring that they understand this law themselves and also engage in political processes.
Nigerian youths have been urged to shun political apathy and become more involved in the political affairs of the nation. This call was made at the National Association of Political Science Students UNILAG Convention. The annual event dedicated to political discussions and engagement beyond the classroom serves as a platform to address pressing societal issues. Tolulokpe Iyikogbe, head of the planning committee, emphasized the convention's purpose, saying the aim is to understand how power dynamics are played in different sectors. Council leader for Ikorodu West Local Government, Jessica Oba, commended the initiative, saying that such events can combat political apathy among youths who have a significant role to play in government.
We tend to achieve this guidelines just to know how the different sectors in the country, how they have their power, how they have the power tussle, because we believe that everything is about power tussle. The technological sector has a power tussle with the political sector. This political sector has a power tussle with the religious sector. So we just want to see how the power and dynamics are being played, and how we can also harness all these sectors into achieving a very good development, sustainable development within, especially Nigeria as a case study.
Like they used to say that if you are not part of something, you cannot complain. So if they are not part of decision making, if decisions taken affect them negatively, then you have nobody to blame. And that is why the political terrain is already being charged, because youths are getting involved. We know the number of them that are in the state assembly, that are in the national assembly now. That was not happening before now. But of recent, they are become, so it is important they are part of political decision making.
This is the kind of events that we pray for to come up often, because we can't deny the fact that politically there is a serious apathy between the youths and governance. So events like this would continue to encourage young people to come into politics, be involved, and let their voices be heard. Where there are youths, there's innovation, there's creativity. So when it's time for the world to move, it's time for it to move. It's time for it to revolve. And it shouldn't be, when youths come in, we get fresh ideas, technology comes in, and what have you. And when the world is moving, if you're not moving, we will definitely be out of date, let me say. So the youth definitely has a significant role to play.
We'll go on a break here, but still to come, Naira rated worst performing currency in 2024 according to Bloomberg. Details of the story after this break. Welcome back. Now, here's a quick recap of our top stories. Chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform, Taiwo Oyedele, has called for an overhaul of the minimum wage structure, proposing it be calculated on an hourly basis rather than monthly. It suggested the civil servants be allowed to engage in additional work, excluding farming, as long as it doesn't conflict with their government duties. Oyedele emphasized the need to revise civil service rules to enable multiple jobs without conflict, and also said there is importance of linking wage to workers' productivity to maintain their value over time. We also told you that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu assigned an executive order to boost local production of essential healthcare products. This order eliminates tariff, excise duties, and VAT on specialized machinery, equipment, and pharmaceutical raw materials. The announcement was made by Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare Mohammed Ali Pate. He added that the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, will oversee the implementation of this order. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Lime's World TV and AVO TV, or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. And on business, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has issued fresh guidelines to deposit money banks, DMBs, on the deposit of foreign currency notes with the APAS Bank. This directive was contained in a circular issued by the Director of Currency Operators, Mohammed Solaja, and posted on the bank's website. CBN disclosed that each bank would be allowed a maximum deposit of $10 million threshold for USD $100 notes and USD 15 naira notes daily, saying that such foreign currency deposits can only be made at the CBN branches in Abuja and Lagos. The approval is a response to the increasing demand by DMBs to deposit their foreign cash with CBN for onward credit to their offshore accounts with the correspondent banks. Still on business, the naira has emerged as the worst performing currency in the world in the first half of 2024. According to a report by Bloomberg, devaluation, insufficient dollar liquidity, and market volatility have hindered effort by the Central Bank of Nigeria to strengthen the currency. Now, besides the naira, Egypt's pound and Ghana cedis were the world's other worst performers in the first 6 months of the year. Now, tracking data from FMDQ, Bloomberg said the naira weakened for a 9th straight day to 1,510 naira per dollar by the close on Thursday. The losing streak is the longest since July 2017 and takes a decline since the start of the year to 40%. And on the foreign scene, U.S. President Joe Biden has hit back at criticism over his age, telling supporters in a fiery speech that he will win re-election in November after a poor debate performance fueled concerns about his candidacy. Biden, who said he's not a young man, disclosed this in a rally in the battleground state of North Carolina on Friday, one day after he struggled in the televised showdown with his Republican rival Donald Trump. Our questions about Biden's age are not new. His shaky performance on the debate stage, which was marked with verbal blanks, a hoarse voice and some difficult-to-follow answers, triggered panic among some Democrats who raised fresh questions about his candidacy. Biden's campaign has remained emphatic that the country's oldest presidential candidate is still fit to serve another term. However, campaign officials said it would not step aside for another nominee despite the poor performance. An attacker who fired a crossbow at a police officer guarding the Israeli embassy in Belgrade was shot and killed on Saturday in what Interior Minister called a terrorist attack against Serbia. The Israeli Foreign Minister said the police is in a life-threatening condition and is undergoing surgery, but according to him, no embassy employees were wounded. Israel-linked institutions around the world have been on high alert for attacks and protests since Israel launched its war to eliminate Hamas in the Palestinian enclave of Gaza after the Islamist militant group led the attacks on southern Israel on October 7, 2023. And finally, on sports, the Nigeria Premier Football League (NPFL) says it will introduce modern communication gadgets from the 2024/2025 season. NPFL Chairman Benga Elegbeleye announced the new initiative during his interaction with the media. Now, earlier on, I spoke with sport analyst Stanley Ikawo, and I began by asking him a take on this development.
I think it's a good move, a good initiative by the organizers of the league. For every season that comes and goes, there's always a post-mortem, there's always a review of performance from the clubs, from the players, from also by the organizers of the league. So as much as I feel this season has recorded some level of success, I also do feel that some shenanigans that brought the game to an extent to disrepute. One of them is crowd invading the pitch. Even in other senior clients, for every season, like I said, they test different technologies, they test different gadgets to improve the game, all because of the fans. So I feel it's a good initiative by the Nigerian Football Federation, or rather the Nigerian Premier Football League, the organizers of the league. But then, is that the solution to the problem of the league? If we call it, like I said earlier, crowd violence, one of which we saw between Enugu Rangers and the Eyimba in Enugu, which I feel even the away fans encroached the field, which was totally wrong. I condemn that act. Some of my colleagues also who are in the business of talking about the league, because whether we like it or not, we can't keep following the EPL. We can't keep talking about the Bundesliga. Monies were invested in these leagues for it to be where it is today. So I feel for those that have so far invested money in developing football in Nigeria, I don't think fans should make their money just go down the drain like that. But then, like I said, would this technology stop crowd violence? would this technology safeguard referees in the league?
All right, so what device do you think they would introduce, or which one do you think they should introduce?
Let me say this. There's no gadgets the league organizers would want to introduce now that will not be welcomed. But as much as, even if it's the VAR, I'm talking about video assistant referee, where referees would have to go review before taking that final decision. Fine, brilliant, good. If it's what's it called now? The technology where the center referee would communicate instead of running down often to communicate with their star referee. Like before now, it used to be they were called the linesmen, but now they call them the star referee 1 and 2. Now, if it's about an error that happened in the course of the game, the star referee can call on the referee and say, "Oh, I spotted this and I spotted that." So if it's the goal line technology, it's a welcome development. If it's the normal gadget where referees would have to use in communicating to ease officiating, so they don't need to start running from one end of the field to the other, I think it's also a good development.
All right, so lastly, before I let you go, how do you think this would improve the MPFL moving forward?
Very simple. It would help the referees in making some certain decisions. The crowd also would understand that the gadgets or equipment, as it were, that will be introduced by the Nigerian Premier Football League body is just to ensure that we have a fair and proper officiating. The referees also would know that now they can be, at least to an extent, safe from being lynched by angry fans. So it's going to be a win-win situation.
And that wraps up our bulletin on News Now. Many thanks for watching. I'm Tamilore Akinkwole. See you again next time.